Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Voice by Matt show. My name is Matt Bertho. I'm your host, and I have my sister, my girl from Long Island, Alison Lager.
That will
And
be me.
yeah, she is amazing, amazing human, period. But also a great mother, and she has Lager counseling, and she's had it for 30 years. And she is a speaker. She's a coach. She's one of my best friends on earth. And she has an amazing book called The Wake Up Call that you can get on Amazon. I have my copy. But welcome to the show, Allison.
It is such an incredible honor to be here. I feel like I'm just here chatting with my brother and my friend, my dear friend.
Mm,
And I'm just honored. I'm honored to share this time with you. And I look forward to just connecting with your listeners in the best way that they need me to connect with them.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, Allison, I met her in Portugal. We went on a trip with Tony Watley and that crew, and we just kind of became best buds. And Grace, her daughter, like we had had a great time.
Such a good time.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I got to be MC at that event, and so Allison kind of got to see me in my element. Um, and I asked her to speak at the first ever Unmute in New York City, and now she's going to be speaking at the second Unmute in Washington, D.C. So I think let's start with that.
Okay.
What was your big takeaway from the first Unmute in New York City?
Well, I think just even the title, the whole process that you were going through in creating Unmute, and just my observations of that were incredible. So I'm thinking just the word unmute,
Mm,
being about authenticity, about having a voice, as a therapist, and also, training therapists and doing all that I do, all people want
mm,
is to be, if you really think about it, what do human beings need? They need to just be in the truth.
mm,
There's a resonance with the earth, with our souls, with reality, with not reality as we know it, but spirituality. Our true soul purpose is to have an authentic relationship with ourselves. And our voice indicates that. You can hear it like in people's voices, their actual voices. I used to talk like this. I used to say, "Hi, how are you?" And that's not my voice. But a voice is symbolic of where you're at and who
mm.
you are. So to me,
And where
what is
you've
my
been,
takeaway?
and where you've
Where you've
been.
been. Yes. But how I feel like tell me, Matt, if this is, I'm like bantering with you, but like, isn't it just the truth? Like unmute, it's like allowing the truth to come out. Is
Yeah,
that
your
what
soul.
unmute is? Your
Yeah, your
soul.
soul coming out to
Yes.
say hello. And I
Hmm.
remember this moment, because I program every speaker in order on purpose.
Mm.
And there's a definite flow to where everybody is in the lineup for everything that I program.
Mm.
And programming is one of my favorite things to do. So, Allison, I put her in a certain spot for a reason. And so she
I know that.
heard a couple people go. And I remember she came up to me at the break. Do you remember what you said?
Yes. I was like, shit. Is it okay that I cursed? I was like, shit, I have a whole thing totally put together, basically. And the thing that I was going to talk about how to become not automated as a human being, neuroscience, quantum physics, but it was going to be authentic with
Yeah.
my own real voice.
Yeah.
However, I heard other people telling their stories.
Hmm.
And their stories were about tragedy to triumph. And that is my story, tragedy upon tragedy to triumph upon triumph, and the climbing out of darkness into, the next light, and then, the next thing. And that's my greatest education. I talk about that in my book. So now I'm like, shoot, I didn't plan on talking about any of the hardships that
Mm.
I went through. Can I just say something about that? I
Yeah.
know that you were telling a story, but I'm
No, no,
stepping
no.
up.
That was the setup. You fell right
Yeah.
into it. Good job.
Okay. So listen, this is my point. Okay. So when I was writing my book, I had some mishaps that stopped. My whole book was erased. My computer shut down, and the whole thing was deleted. So I
What?
was in the process of doing my last edit, and on my computer, the entire thing was deleted. Yes. So I had to, all the edits that I changed, all my changes were deleted. The original, my publisher still had, obviously, but everything that I worked on I worked for 3 days in like the mountains by myself on this.
Aw.
Yeah. But wait, this is like before anything. So then the book was gone. And then I'm laying, this was like, okay, my whole message of the book is like, how do you take, this isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. And the truth is good enough. So the original title of the book was about, I don't even remember what the title of the book was. Oh my God, I forgot it. I think it's The Truth is Good Enough.
Well, that's good you
But
can't remember it because
because it
you
wasn't
obviously
meant to
picked that right.
be.
Right.
But anyhow, this is my point. I was laying on a massage table and I had this supernatural experience. This like over incredible being. I don't know what it was.
Mm.
You could just feel it. It wasn't any sensory. It wasn't eyes, nose, mouth. It wasn't the five senses. It was just a knowing, this feeling over me. And it was a being. And it said, "You have hidden your talent for far too long."
Oh boy.
And basically, now this whole thing is erased, all of these things. And so basically, the instructions for me, and I'll just paraphrase, I won't go into it, it was a very emotional experience. And it
Mm.
was that it is not your 8 years of education and all these many years of experience that, professional experience that has brought you to where you are and has given you this expertise. What has given you this expertise is every single climb out of tragedy that you've gone through. And that is your story. So basically, and that is your
Whoa.
education. And it is time. You are now to tell the truth.
Mm.
I didn't know I was lying. I just wasn't people. But one thing that stood out to me that I never forgot, I was in a session with this woman. And she said, I was encouraging her or whatever. And she said, "Alison, I'm not you." And I thought, wow, what am I
Whoa.
presenting here? Am I presenting
Oh
that I'm better than you and I can get to this higher level and succeed because of who I am or what
man.
my education, whatever the hell? And it was like, you know what? If this woman only knew that I was neglected, that I was abused, that
Mm.
I was, sexually abused, that had an eating disorder, that I was hospitalized, that I was in a murder trial, that, I lived with a drug dealing boyfriend who was hard. He was like, if you looked up in the dictionary the worst boyfriend that ever existed on the face of this earth, it would be him, his picture, like, and just all of the stuff that I gone through that my soul mate, my beautiful husband,
Mm.
you know, died by suicide after I got this message. So, and somebody who was like really in good shape, I thought. So, anyhow, my whole point is that when I'm watching these people, all of this is coming to me. Like I have a lot of knowledge to share that can help people, and that's what I wanted to do. But then I was like, because I do hear so many tragic stories, but how, like, it is that the thing that, like, even if I share that, I mean, it does bring me down to the earth with people, obviously, but then what about all the well, all the wisdom I have
Allison,
to
I mean,
share?
I am not a therapist, but I've been around a lot of therapists. My mom's a therapist.
Hmm.
Dean helped me out a ton. You've helped me out a ton. Um, I want to say two things to you. One's really crazy. The other one is, I think, a big aha moment for you. Um, as a therapist, you guys want us to not be surface level about what it is that
Yes.
we're going through, right?
Hmm.
And you don't want us to gloss over it, right?
Hmm.
You want us to dig as deep as we possibly can to experience and get that out, get that
Hmm.
rid out of
Tell the
us,
truth.
right? That tell the truth, right? That the hard, ugly, dark, disgusting, sludgy truth, right? That moment that you had where your screen got completely wiped
Mm.
was not a coincidence.
Mm.
The moment that you had on, here's the crazy part. This is what I'm, we're going to go there because you went there. So we're going there.
Where are we going?
Um, so you on the massage table when that presence came,
Hmm.
this is a thought. What if that presence was something and someone that that you already knew, but time doesn't know what time is in that dimension?
I understand that. Hmm.
Because what we talked about before the call, before we got on
Hmm.
this podcast, was something pretty profound where this this being shook up an event that you were in and stopped it
Hmm.
and said you don't need this. I'm shutting this down right now.
Hmm.
Is that the same felt presence that you had?
I have to say no,
Okay.
because you know what the presence was?
What?
I know that the presence was divine source, God Almighty, or a huge uh, angel. I
Yeah.
could feel, and it
Okay.
was a mess, and it was almost like, because I have felt so divinely led my entire life. I have never not trusted.
Huh.
And I
Where
have
does that come from, Allison? Where
it
does that
comes,
faith come from?
yeah, it's incredible. I don't, I would like to say I've had it since I was very little.
But why?
And that's a great, I wish I actually had the answer, but I'm going to look for it right now with you. So
Yeah,
basically,
so mom
what,
and dad, maybe?
no,
No.
no. My mom had faith in God, but she was searching and seeking. But
Okay.
I went to church alone when I was 7 years old with three other 7-year-old girls and
What?
walked there. And we attended that church until I was 13 years old, and they sold the church out from under us. I didn't even know it was sold. We sang in the choir, a folk mass choir. I was a
What
part of the
denomination?
church.
What was this?
It was at that time, well, it was an Episcopalian church.
Aw.
And basically, we went as little girls for our own faith. I believed in God since I was a little girl, and
Mm.
what I believed. So if someone said, "Oh, you know what? I want to buy a car," I'm gonna just try and get like a secondhand, like, I saw this one. I'd be like, "Why not?" They're like, "I'm praying for a car." I'd be like, "Oh, what are you praying for?" They'd be like, "Oh, this like dump of a car." And I'd be like, "Well, if you're praying, why don't you pray for a brand new one?" Like, what the fudge? Like,
Yes.
to me, I've always seen things bigger. So
Mm.
I'd be like, wait a minute. Like, if you're gonna ask big. Like, so I've always asked big. I've always believed big. Every
Wow.
home I've ever owned, like, and I write down my goals. So every single day. So I'll be like, I own 5 properties, blah blah blah. And now I own 5 properties. Like, whatever I write down, our brain is a goal-driven machine. So we command what happens. That's what being, it's even prophetic. Like, if people, you hear about prophecy, it's actually a proclamation. It's actually, it's a command.
So
So,
look,
like,
why
okay,
this is why we're doing Unmute.
yes,
Like to
okay,
help people proclaim,
command,
to use their voice, to
yes,
tell the truth.
yes.
But I want to go back to something too, because
Tell me,
perspective as a teacher, when I asked you about that presence,
yeah,
it was so fast. You knew, nope, that wasn't the same presence that we were talking about
yep,
before. That was
mhm.
so fast, Allison, that you
Yeah,
had that
I know
discernment
who
to
they
know
each
that,
are. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So where does that come from? To be able to identify energy
Yes.
spirit, right?
Yes.
And to
Yes.
know, I mean, you've done this with me so many times. What's going on, Bertho? Like, man, come on, Allison, just let me kind of be in my pity for a second. But
No,
but
no
how do
moment.
you feel that? How do you know that? Where because for the people that listen to this, for the people that watch you, this could be something, Allison, that you could speak about and give people empowerment to discern spirit, energy.
Yes. Yes. It's
And
very
I've
important.
never heard you talk about this ever.
Oh, I can see things. I know things before they happen. I used to know when people were going to die before they died. Yeah, I can see things, and I can if I'm in the you just have to the part of it is being willing. Part of it is head, heart, feet all in the same spot.
Mm,
Zoom out. I tell
mm,
everybody you got to stop, zoom out, and be a wise observer. Our brain, our mind measures, it compares and it judges, but our soul observes. So when you become an observer, like I can see on people's faces, it doesn't matter if they're smiling, it doesn't matter if it's the same.
mm.
You can see beyond the physical to what's really there. And one of the things I say, like in this group that I run with women, it's, be awake and aware in the now without judgment and remain in a state of peace. So I think the
Mm.
way that you do that is I make choices. So each day, the state of being I want to live in, and anything that deviates from that is an alert to me that tells me that I have to look at the thoughts I was just thinking and go back. It's like chain analysis, it's called. So if I'm feeling, there's so many things I want to say, I'm exploding. So if
We're
I'm
going to have a
feeling,
part two. We're going to do a part two. Don't worry, everyone. We got to do a part two.
so basically, let's look at this. So when I wake up when I go to bed at night, I soak in what I want to wake up in. So I rub my pillow if it's soft, and I say, I'm so grateful for this softness of this pillow.
Mm.
And I saturate myself in the way that in a state of receivership, gratitude, appreciation. So I don't say, oh, my dog's leg is in my back, I'm so pissed off. I say, how grateful I am that I have beings sleeping with me as
Oh.
opposed to not,
Mm.
and then my point is, then when I wake up, I say the first thing, I get to choose today how I feel, because we all wake up a certain way.
Oh, sure.
Don't tell me you don't feel it. Some days I wake up and when I lost my husband, regularly, I woke up crying, and I didn't even know. So that is the worst feeling in the world. This is my reality. Holy shit. I
Yeah.
just woke up to a reality I don't want to be in, right?
Mm.
But I think this is the best kept secret in the world. We get to decide. We don't even know that. We're not taught that in school. Why not?
So
We
what's
don't teach our children.
we have
What?
like 8 minutes. What is something that you could teach this audience?
Okay.
And I mean, honestly, Allison, I kind of have an idea what you're going to be talking about on mute now. Um,
Okay.
this is special, guys. This is a special podcast for you. And I can't wait for people to be taught by you these gifts. So what's a way that what's a tactic or a strategy that when we do wake up that we can choose the way we want to feel?
Well, it's the concept to understand that we are the commanders of our life, that we are not passive recipients of every thought that comes our way, every action, every experience,
Mm.
that we get to decide. So I wake up and I say, I get to choose how I feel today. And today I choose. And I have three things, a state of being that I want to live in. And the state of being that I want to live in every day is enthusiasm. I want to live in joy, and I want to live in peace. So I
Mm.
say, I get to choose today how I feel. And today I choose whatever the hell I want. So I might say, today I choose laughter and joy and
Mm.
enthusiasm. Today I choose to be vivacious. Today, and then there's a power in the spoken word. So unmute, right? There's a power
The
in
proclamation, the
utilizing. Oh, I'll
declaration.
tell you about a proclamation that was put over my practice. You want to hear it? Do I have
Yeah.
enough time?
Yeah.
So basically, when I was very young in my practice and I was sitting in my office, I had another presence come to me and it said, enough is enough. Then it said, no more from my daughters. I am
Whoa.
restoring dignity back to my daughters. And it was put as a proclamation over the doorway of my practice, and it would follow me every practice I went to. So, any woman that comes to work for me, any woman that walks through the door of Lager Counseling Services has that proclamation over their life. No, enough is enough. No more for my daughters. I am
Oh.
restoring dignity back to you. And what we need to do is we need to take these proclamations. We don't understand our power. You know the Wizard
Oh.
of Oz, um, Dorothy?
Yeah.
I believe in that. But,
Mm.
my dear, you've had the power within you all along. Because the actual truth
Mm.
is that within us, God has given us, and I give all the credit to God, God has given us an incredible power. It says in the Bible, it says, greater things than these you will be doing. And I have always believed it. If I say to that mountain over there, move, it's going to move. So when faith is the actual thing, so it's the core beliefs that are built in us from the time we're 0 to 7 years old. We're in a theta brainwave. We're in a hypnotic state. And what ends up happening at that time is we're programmed. So the key to living a life that you actually want is commanding a different program. You don't have to fight the one you have. You just have to build a new one. And in the brain, when you build a new program, the program that's there becomes obsolete. It does not go away, by the way, and it can
Mm.
return in stress. So you have to basically rebuild a very strong program through repetition. Today I get to choose. Today I command. Do you know that for years I said
Mm.
I am long, lean, tight, and smooth about my body? And guess what? That's what I am. Now I say
Yeah.
I am wise, wealthy, well planned, and well known. I just say anything you don't want to be, communicate, command. Don't see it as an affirmation, see it as a command. Our body is like a puppy. We have to tell it what to do.
Yeah.
You don't just let it chew up all the shit in your house. You say, no, let's go do this. I command you to do that. I'm going to say one more thing. I know I'm not letting you talk. So listen, it's because we're friends. I would never do this like otherwise.
No, I
But
love this.
the other thing is, check this shit out. Beggars plead, servants ask, children command. If you
Mm.
know your authority on this earth just because you've been born, we have an authority to command things, to move, to make things not happen, to get in line. You know, the quote, there is a stream of well-being that flows. I can resist it or I can allow it. It flows just the same. What
Mm.
river are you going to get in the river of well-being or not? Every day we get a daily reprieve based on our fit spiritual condition. Big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm talking so much.
No, Allison, I'm so proud of you right now because this is the person that I know is inside you that's coming out to say hello. And
Hello.
this is gonna be fire in Washington D.C. when you show up to unmute. Um, I am so excited for your speaking engagements in the future
Oh, thank
because
you.
because this is the stuff that you're equipped to talk about. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is the stuff you were meant to talk about. You
Mm-hmm.
know, this is why we love Joe Dispenza, right? This is why we love God. This is
Mm-hmm.
why we're connected.
Mm-hmm. Yes, true, true.
If I wasn't a music educator, I would be a therapist.
Mm,
That's exactly what I would do or what I
yeah,
would have done. All
yeah.
right? And so you sharing what you shared today, there are going to be people that are listening to this podcast that are driving their cars right now, that are on the treadmill going, wow, I thought I was crazy. Spirit's real. God is
It's
real.
real. It's real.
And we need to command our life. We need to speak our truth. and not
And you know
hold
what?
it
We all
back.
can do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's where all the hope is. We don't have to feel the way we feel.
So, Allison, we are going to do a part two, no doubt. Okay.
Mhm.
Where can they find you? And leave them with some parting words.
Okay. I'm on Instagram, Allison Answers, Allison with one L. And then Lager Counseling Services, also Lager like the beer. And I have my book, which is The Wake Up Call. It's an interactive read for building the life you want. And basically, it's like a workbook. It actually is, it has my stories in it, but also exactly how to do the things we're talking about. And then you do a whole life inventory where you
Mm,
find out what your actual core beliefs are and then how to actually change them, like real shit, like how you
mm.
really do it, not
This is
like,
great.
oh, yeah. And then my parting words are just like, I want whoever is suffering, let me tell you, there is no, I am no stranger to suffering. And it doesn't mean that I don't wake up on days where I'm like, oh my God, this is hard. I don't want to do this. And I just want you to know that. But we need one another we need to encourage one another and to remember that we get to choose our life. We're creating our life. We're co-creators with God, and we don't have to follow the program that's been laid for us already. You actually have a choice.
Mm.
We don't have to do it. No.
So Allison taught me
Yes.
about codependency when I was going through my divorce and some issues this year. And I just had this thought, this tagline. It's okay to be codependent on God.
That's cool. And you know what's interesting? The term codependency is like the idea of abandoning yourself to please others
Please God.
and betraying yourself to please others. And really, when we're co-creating with God, we're understanding. We've been taught that we should be ashamed of ourselves and less than what we are. And if we believe in God, we should not. We should be have a false sense of humility, which says we're no good, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because when we show up in our best self, we're more loving, we're more kind, we give more, we're more generous. So we need to be that.
Well, you guys, you got to come to Unmute in Washington, D.C. to see Allison in real life. It's probably not the only event that we're going to do this year with Allison. And I look forward to having you on part two. Much love to you. You're so amazing. When you were speaking, I'm going to try to get this video out for people to see, but you were glowing. Your soul was just shining, girl. And
Oh,
that's what I want everybody to be able to do, is to
yes,
share their soul. And so
yeah.
thank you for being on the show. And we
Come to
will,
unmute.
yeah, come to Unmute, and
And
I will
I would
see
love to
you.
give you a hug.
Yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.